This is Pave It Black.
Hi, and welcome to Pave It Black, the official podcast of the National Asphalt Pavement Association. I'm Richard Willis.
And I'm Brett Williams.
And in this episode, we're going to talk about software in the asphalt industry. And when most people think about software today, they probably think about things like Office 365, project management tools, CRM databases, and more. But more and more, we're starting to see people develop specialized software packages tailored specifically for the asphalt or construction industry.
So today I'm interested to learn more about these specialized software tools and what they can really do to help the industry and help companies be more successful.
To help us learn a little bit more about this space, we've invited Ari Bleemer from OneCrew. Ari, welcome to the podcast. And can you start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself, what you do at OneCrew, and who OneCrew is?
Absolutely. Richard and Brad, thanks so much for having me here. So I am Ari Bleemer. I'm the CEO and co-founder of OneCrew. And OneCrew is a software platform, like you mentioned, built for self-perform contractors and specifically focused on the paving industry. We are an end-to-end platform, so cover everything from sales to operations, field management, as well as some of a contractor's finances, all in one platform. And like you mentioned, I think it's a really exciting time for software right now in that there are specialized solutions popping up for industries across the board that can really offer a lot of things that those more horizontal solutions can offer. And so a little bit of background on myself and OneCrew. We started in January of 2022. So we're coming up on our third anniversary now. We entered this industry to build a better solution for contractors in this industry. So I came from a management consulting and computer engineering background. My co-founder, Max, came from a software engineering background. He was at Google prior to us jumping into this and really entered the industry because we got to know a lot of people in the industry and we were really excited about who we were going to be working with and in service of, as well as saw a ton of opportunity here. And so saw what contractors were using. In my past experience working in computer engineering, I was working at companies like Siemens and Nike across a variety of different functions there, and then moved into the consulting world and was working in a number of industrial industries, including spending a fair bit of time in utilities. And what I saw there was that there was a lot of investment going into hardware, going into better equipment, and not so much investment going into the software side of things. So better management of that equipment, better processes, better analytics. And so when I left the consulting world, I moved over and started OneCrew with Max to help solve that issue of really focusing on building great products for critical infrastructure industries. And since 2022 with OneCrew, we launched our platform about 7 months after we started the business. We had our first cohort of customers through the end of 22 as well as through the 2023 season, then expanded our customer base significantly last year and are continuing to do so now. And what we found is that there's a ton of opportunity to really help streamline these businesses through software, as well as a number of different other benefits that contractors can find by using a software platform. And so excited to dive into those more as we get into it here.
So you gave quite a bit of information how you ended up here. I guess I'm curious in terms of like how you saw the opportunity or when you were looking at developing this software, what do you think really drove you to jump at this opportunity? Because you obviously have a pretty broad experience, a lot of places where you could have probably pointed yourself. I'm just curious how you chose the construction and asphalt industry to focus in on and how that process went.
So when I left consulting, I was looking at basically the aperture that I had for myself was critical infrastructure. So I was looking at a number of different industries that fell under that umbrella. When I started digging in more to those industries, one of the key pieces that I saw, and saw this very specifically in the paving industry especially, was a lack of a really effective estimating solution that then ties to a full platform solution. And so as I was looking at different industries, of course, we were talking to a number of contractors across a variety of different industries. And one thing that we found in paving was that currently there was very little to satisfy a lot of those needs. And as we continued to dig in more, one of the things that I found pretty exciting about this industry was the desire for a better solution. So I think some of the industries that we spoke to a number of folks in, there was recognition that maybe the solution out there or the solutions that were out there today weren't necessarily the best possible solutions. But at times we also felt that there wasn't as much demand or desire for a better solution. And that's something that we didn't feel in the paving industry. We saw a number of industries that looked at the paving industry and said, oh, that industry is slower moving. But when we came in and spoke to folks in it, we actually heard a ton of desire for a better solution in this space and for more advanced technology, frankly, in this space, but very few people that were actually building for it. And so that's what got us especially excited about this was we see the paving industry as going through rapid change right now, as a lot of the construction industry is, but really see exceptional change happening in this industry and a lot of excitement around it, a heavy level of demand around it. And frankly, we came in to build the solution that people have been asking for that hasn't been delivered. And we've been really excited to see that continue to grow over the last few years of just the excitement around bringing modern technology to this industry.
It's interesting because there are a lot of perceptions about the industry and its willingness to adopt technology or change. But the reality is, if you can have something that helps you be more efficient or be better or be more competitive, if it's got the ROI, you're going to go after it. And so it's finding those types of solutions. And so I want to go a little bit broader now, beyond just kind of OneCrew a little bit, and talk about maybe some of the broader trends or some of the spaces you see. And how do you see software transforming operations in the asphalt industry? Like, I won't necessarily say what's the ceiling on it, but what are those next big trends, and what are some of the key benefits that companies can see from adopting some of these digital tools?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting of how software is starting to transform this industry. So in my mind, there's two sides of this. There's the equipment and hardware side that software also plays into. And then there's the software specific side where it is more focused on communications and estimating things in the office and communication between the office and field versus things that are exclusively happening in the field. And so on the equipment side of things, that's where we play less. And so I think that there are incredibly exciting equipment innovations that are making pieces of equipment more autonomous, that allow, frankly, better construction at the end of the day, that allow people to pave in a more consistent way without necessarily even having the level of expertise or the decades of experience to be able to perform services in a really effective way. And so that's through, I've seen a number of different kind of scanning tools and then software running directly on equipment that auto adjusts the equipment to put down as effective of a surface as possible. Where we focus more is on the more internal side. So in the office and communications between office and field. And that's this other category of software there. And that's where I think there's a ton of really exciting things happening. And so there are the classic benefits of better efficiency, better visibility across the business, easier ability to manage your profitability, not month by month or quarter by quarter, but doing that on a job by job basis, and really ideally doing that on a day-to-day basis in real time there. And so I think visibility is a huge piece of what software is enabling, is understanding your business at a really granular level and having those insights presented to you in a way that you can understand basically in real time. And so there's a lot happening on that front, but there's also a number of things happening. Obviously, when you zoom out of just general trends in the technology industry, you can't not talk about AI and some of these other trends here. And one thing that as we think about AI, as I see AI playing in more with some more of those office functions and communications, as I see it, there's a jump to AI right now there's a lot of companies implementing quote unquote AI tools that either are not particularly useful or might not even really be AI, but there is huge opportunity there in the future. And so I think people are still figuring out exactly what this is going to look like across different industries. Obviously, the focus right now is on very large enterprise, but there's a number of different applications across the board. In paving, as we see it, for the purposes of kind of more efficient operations, better communications, things along those lines, better estimating as well, we see AI as really a tool for analysis. And so being able to capture all of this data that you are building up about your business and then leverage it in a way such that you don't need a data scientist in-house to be able to understand your business better. That, if you are using a platform that is capturing this data about your business, that platform is then going to feed back to you when you're building an estimate for a new job that, hey, the last 3 times that you've performed this service, you've underbid your labor or you've overbid your labor. And being able to drive insights along those lines, as well as from a performance standpoint, knowing which crews are performing best, which crews do the best with certain types of services. Maybe you have 5 paving crews that you're sending out every day, and you come to learn over the course of the season that 2 crews are really good at this type of service, 2 crews are really good at that type of service. And so rather than just sending out these crews interchangeably, you start really specializing. And so I think generally that is the trend that a lot of software is going, is towards specialization. And that's in the case of this industry, it's specializing for paving. In the case of others, it's just really fine-tuning to industry specifics.
I think I'd like to step back maybe just a little bit and talk about adoption. And just when you're looking at introducing or implementing new software, that can come with its own set of challenges. And with your experience, I'm just hoping maybe you could share some of the challenges you've seen companies face when they do implement new software solutions, and what maybe is the keys to really overcoming those challenges when you're looking at doing that.
Absolutely. And I think it would be naive to say that bringing on new software, if it's going to be impactful for your business, it's likely going to take some effort to adopt it. And some folks talk about, this company says that I can have it up and running in 30 minutes and I'm going to be all set to go. And typically, 1, that might not be the case, but 2, I think from what I've seen, there's often some correlation between the effort that it takes to stand something up and the benefit that you can get out of that. Now, there's diminishing returns there of, if it's going to take you 12 months to bring on a software, that's a long time, and that's likely going to be pretty disruptive to your business. But for really effective platforms, it is going to take some time to onboard. And I think the biggest pieces that we've seen, or the biggest keys to success on that side of things, is 1, having a leader within the business that is in charge of that software adoption. So that is something that's really critical that we've seen, is when it's distributed across 5 different people and they're all supposed to do their one piece, it can be really challenging to make sure that's all getting coordinated. And so having a leader within the business that is in charge of that software implementation is really valuable. It doesn't need to be their full-time job by any means, but it just means that they are the point person for that. And so that's something that we've seen as a key to success there. And then one other piece is really spending the time to understand what you are looking to solve before necessarily just jumping to integrated software. I think there are times where people hear about a technology and say, okay, great, that's going to solve all of my problems. And so they sign a contract, and really they haven't thought at all about how they're going to implement it in their business, how it's going to change their processes, things along those lines. And so one of the other keys to success that we've seen is that often what our fastest onboarding processes are when folks have thought about this a little bit, they're ready to make the switch, they're excited about it. And they've thought about, okay, maybe we're not going to bring on this piece, even though it's a feature that's available. Maybe we'll bring that on a little bit down the road, but let's start with kind of the core and where the biggest pains are today and really focus on that. And so just taking a bit of a narrower approach to it can be really effective there. The last thing I'll call out on this front is when onboarding, there's also a key piece of having some excitement around the platform. And so this is something that we try to do with any team that we're working with, but it also is something that a contractor can do internally. Is if people see a new software as something that is just going to be a lot of time and energy to onboard and to implement, and don't understand what benefit they're actually going to get from that, that's going to be really challenging for them to want to put in extra hours or whatever it may be to implement this software. People are working hard. It's not like there's just a ton of extra hours in the day for them to put to something. And so one thing that we try to do from our side, but also we see as really effective for contractors to do internally, is to make sure that people who are putting time and energy into learning a new platform, into learning new technology, really understand what the benefit is going to be, whether it's benefit specific to them, whether it's benefit for the overall business, but really understand where that takes them so that ideally they know that the time and energy they're putting in now is going to save them a ton of time in the future, and that you can really build that excitement and engagement early on.
So we just spent some time talking about the importance of doing onboarding right. Just as important as that is making sure a contractor finds the right solution or finds what they need, what you mentioned a little bit in that conversation as well. So there are some contractors that are very advanced in this. They're using up-to-date software. They're looking through these. And there are others that, let's just say they're not. They're starting to explore software solutions for the first time. And I imagine it could be overwhelming to see all the different possibilities and all the different solutions that could be out there. And like you said, sometimes you need a little bit more narrow focus to make sure that you can implement the right thing the correct way instead of trying to bite the entire apple or eat the entire apple in one bite. So for those contractors that are just getting started exploring kind of new software solutions, what advice would you offer them?
I'll go back to something I mentioned during the onboarding process, which I think is critical in the searching process as well, which is knowing what you're looking for. So that is always one of the things that I start with if a contractor comes to us and says, hey, we're looking to implement technology. And I'll respond with, okay, what does that mean to you? Because I think people understand that is the direction that this world is moving and has been moving for quite a while now. Understand the need that there likely is a lot of return that you can get by implementing technology. But I think it's really important to know exactly what you are looking for in implementing technology. Are you looking to grow the business? Are you looking to open a new office? Are you looking to really refine your estimating processes and your job costing processes? Whatever it may be, but really focusing on a few of your top goals so that you can help narrow down all of the different technology and software that might be available to you. So that's one of the top pieces that I typically recommend. Other pieces that I think are really important here is going out and talking to a number of different solutions. Trade shows can be a great way to do that, where it's just a denser area. You can walk the floor, talk to a number of different folks, and get a sense for what some of these platforms look like. Most software providers have some ability at those trade shows to show you a live demo and show you exactly what the platform looks like so that you can click around and really get a feel for what this would mean in your business and what it would look like in your business. And the last piece I'll mention here is one thing that we see as really critical for people taking the step to go and find software that works for them is allocating budget for it and understanding that software is expensive. And I think there's a number of folks that want to implement technology and want to spend $50 a month on a brand new software platform that's going to solve all of their issues across the business. And that's likely not going to happen. And so one thing that we see a fair bit is I think in this industry, as well as in most other industries, is software prices generally pretty well in the sense that you get what you pay for. So if you go for the most budget solution, that might be the right solution for you. And it also might be something that you outgrow. And so just understanding that when you are going into that search process, having some sort of budget in mind is always helpful. But in general, knowing that this is going to be a line item that you see on your overall budget for the year, and really feeling confident and comfortable with that expense, because it's something that can be transformative for your business. And ideally, any software spend that you are making has really significant ROI on it. But it is going to be a line item on your budget and something that you have to prepare for to make sure that you're picking the right solution.
So when we take a look ahead, I'm curious what emerging technologies or trends spark your excitement, or things that you think are coming or around the corner that are things that people got to be looking out for that are exciting to see coming.
Absolutely. There are a lot of upcoming technologies and technologies that are growing today that might already exist today that are going to be pretty transformative here. I think where I am most excited is there's generally a cycle in the software world, technology world of verticalization, and then things often move back a little bit more horizontal, and it does just move back and forth over time typically. I think right now we are in a really impressive verticalization, specialization time for software, especially AI continuing to drive that, of being able to better customize things faster. And so one thing that I'm seeing a lot of right now in startups coming up, as well as just later stage startups that are raising significant capital today, is more tools that can be verticalized. So examples of this, often there's a lot of financial instruments in this way, or financial tooling that exists like this. There's also that is more on the CRM and marketing side, but there are a number of tools where there are companies that are building this for in a fairly generic way, that then other companies that are more industry specific can take and really cater to that industry. And we're seeing a lot of that right now. And so there's platforms that are making it much easier for companies like us to take it and then build an industry specific solution. So these can be things like spend management. Payments is pretty standard across the board. And so that one is less, I'd say a little bit less exciting, but spend management and a variety of different invoicing and lending. And then outside of that as well, you also have things like accounting. And a lot of these more kind of high level financial tasks or requirements that in the past have been pretty standardized across industries. And now, with where trends are heading right now, looks to be becoming more and more specialized over time. And so I think that's really exciting, where you can start having tools that really feel like they're made for you versus trying to jerry-rig tools to fit your business. And so I think that'll be happening on the financial side. That's also definitely happening on the CRM, marketing, customer engagement side as well. And so there's a lot of exciting ways that through newer software, you can engage with your customers in a more effective, efficient way, as well as in a way that they can have a better experience. And so a lot of that tooling, I think, is up and coming right now, will continue to grow over the next many years. And you're going to start to see a lot more specialized solutions out there that are for everything under the sun, rather than just the very specific point solutions that you have one proposal generator, you have one scheduling tool, things along those lines.
You touched on the importance of kind of knowing the problem you're trying to solve when you're looking at different technologies or softwares. And I feel like maybe some people aren't even aware of all the benefits that softwares can bring, or different places where software can be the solution. So could you maybe share some of the benefits that software can bring to a contractor, to the paving industry, and how they can use that tool to maybe solve problems or areas that they've thought about fixing but didn't really realize that software might be the place to go to get the answer?
That's a great question. There's the classic benefits that you can often see from software, things like being more efficient, having better visibility across the business, understanding your profitability better, having more real-time analytics there. But one thing that we have seen is the ability of software to actually have a number of hidden benefits as well. And so one of the most important ones that we see is on the labor side, which a lot of contractors cite as their number one, if not one of their top 3 challenges in this industry, is that we've actually been able to both onboard and help our customers retain their labor in a really effective way. And so as you get these systems set up and these processes set up and drive more efficiency in your business, that actually can lead downstream to labor benefits as well. So that when you bring on a new salesperson or a new foreman or things along those lines, because you have these systems in place and you have repeatability in a lot of your processes, when someone comes in, they can come in and learn that process very quickly, versus in the past when someone would come in and they're trying to learn from someone who's been doing it for 30 years, but there's nothing actually on paper or set up that allows them to understand all of those processes. With an effective software solution in place, those processes are now in many ways ingrained in the system that you're using. And so it can help onboard people way faster than you've been able to in the past. We've seen onboarding times for salespeople come down from 6 months down to a few weeks, as well as from a retention standpoint, being able to have really clear numbers for your employees can be really effective in driving some healthy competition between crews, for instance, of productivity or things along those lines, and making it a little bit more fun there, as well as, for instance, for your salespeople, having really consistent and clear commission structures as well as performance structures. It can help you not only onboard that talent, but also keep people around and make sure that your entire employee base is having a great experience as an employee of your company.
Ari, it's been great having you on the podcast today. We appreciate you being here and sharing your insights on really how software has the potential to change the outlook of the construction industry, and also talking about some of the emerging trends in this area.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate the time, Richard and Brett.
One of the things that kind of stood out to me was know what you need. Know what you need going into these. There are a lot of solutions out there in search of problems, and they may be legitimate problems, but they may be someone else's. And so having a clear idea of what would be a benefit to your company is a really important thing to understand when you start exploring where to go from here. Because there may be some things that are high ROI for other companies, but it may not be the thing that brings you the most benefit. So as you're searching, really do some soul searching for yourself as a company to figure out what are the problems we're trying to solve, and then go after and try to better understand the solutions that are out there for that particular problem.
I agree. I think one piece of that I gravitated towards is that the solution might not always be the first thing you think of as well. Technology might be part of the solution. So I just think it's really important that you're out there, you're networking, you're going to trade shows, you're learning about what's available and what others are doing. And I just think that's a big piece of keeping your mind open in terms of how you solve problems and the ways that technology can play in those solutions. Thanks for listening to Pave It Black. Visit asphaltpavement.org/podcast to find more episodes, suggest a topic or guest, become a sponsor, or learn more about Napa. Pave It Black is produced and copyrighted by the National Asphalt Pavement Association. Music by Colleague. As always, thanks to the dedicated workforce connecting diverse communities all across America.